And I was trying to explain to them how authentic I felt like I have started showing up, let's say over the last, 5 years. I've always been Myshell and myself, but I couldn't explain to them what it felt like. And I said to them, do you remember the time when you came out to your family? They're a gay married couple. And they both looked at each other and like, yeah. Like it resonated with them because it's this deep feeling of being free.
Yeah, it's for the people carrying weight they never show. Trying to hold a family together while they breaking low. For the ones who built themselves with no applause. Still standing tall after everything they lost. This ain't about attention or designer names. This is real life, real pressure, real change. The quiet victories, nobody claps for the long nights. Praying something opens that locked door. Everybody got a chapter full of pressure and scars. Some survived hell without becoming hard. Some learned strength through grief and survival. Some became hope in the middle of denial. And maybe
I'm Ivory Jordan. And who better to introduce to the world and talk about range than my co-founder, Myshell Gresham. First of all, she is a beauty, a maverick of so many skills and talents. She is a communicator, an orator, a beautiful beautician, cosmetologist, stylist. There are so many facets of who this amazing woman is. I am so proud to call her my co-founder, my friend, my mentor, my coach, my everything. I appreciate her as being a woman of courage, being a woman in my life who just shows up every day. And I love you. And so, Myshell, let's talk about your range card. Myshell is a mom, a friend, a sister, an auntie.
No. I'm an aunt, not an auntie. I did turn 50 this year, and I'm very proud of that, but I am not an auntie.
Okay. She's an aunt. She is a credit risk expert, senior vice president of distribution, sales, and marketing in the insurance industry, an executive coach, a speaker, a moderator, graduate of the HBCU, Hampton University,
Whoop. The real HU, by the way.
co-founder of We Have Range, Myshell.
Thank you, Ivory. Thank you.
If range had a blueprint, this would be it. Myshell would be it. She is so multifaceted, so multi-talented. She represents range. From my perspective, Myshell's range lives in her ability to connect people, lead with alignment, to be an amazing friend, to be an amazing business partner, to be an amazing person. And her leadership style is second to none. Her range card represents the sum of everything she is, which is so many things that I look up to. Myshell, thank you for being you.
Thank you.
As we introduce you to the world and
Unboxing.
we talk about your range, I want to nickname you Unboxed because you want to make sure through this journey and through this platform, we do not stay boxed in.
Yeah.
We have lived in boxes our entire lives, our entire careers. And with this platform, we are saying no more. And when I think about you as what some might be, who is this ordinary person? You are literally one of the most extraordinary people I know. When I say Myshell, I go, you can't just meet her. You have to experience her. Myshell is not a person that you just call her by name. She is an experience. So when we think about your range, Myshell, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and some of your foundational journey.
You know, it's so funny. You prompted a song in my head. I love songs, but you prompted a song where I think it's either SZA or one of those chicks. I don't know who it was, but they say something like either love me or I'm a lesson. That's what I think about when you just said experience me. You know, I always think about, I love having experiences with people like last night, New Edition. It was everything for me and having that moment and that memory. But when I think about my range and the journey, um, it's been weird and windy and fun and from being a single mom in New York on Wall Street to moving out west to California, and then to moving to Phoenix. Like I've had so many little micro journeys that all of those things and experiences have made me who I am. But I also say for people, when you're in my presence, I always want you to leave better than I find you. And that's the experience. That's the experience of being with me. Something that we take away from the experience of being together, the moments of being together.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
It feels very wordy, but it's I don't know.
And as a non-East Coaster, my now home being in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your East Coast journey.
Well, I was raised in Atlanta, Georgia. Moved my formative years to College Park, where my mom still lives. My family is kind of dispersed all over. Went to school in Virginia, Hampton, Virginia, at Hampton University, real HU. From there, I moved to Princeton, New Jersey, where I was recruited in banking. Started my career in banking. From banking, I went into insurance. I was in credit risk for most of my career. So I was in New York, had my daughter. She's a New Yorker, like through and through. Micaiah, she's my heart. You mentioned I'm a mom, and that's probably one of my most proudest moments. I can't believe she's going to be 28 this year. I still feel like 28, and at times I need to grow up, but that's a whole nother story. So from New York, I spent almost 20 years there, working, being a mom, creating new communities and families there with friends. I moved out west 2016. I was with a company, insurance company in New York. They moved me out to San Francisco. I lived in the Bay Area for almost 4 years before I headed to Phoenix with another company. All of my movement has been related to work, which seems like a central theme. It's been a part of who I am, but it's not all of me. From the Bay Area, I moved to Phoenix, where I currently reside. And I work for a company, an insurance company, as an SVP in distribution. But my baby is we have range and being an executive coach. Yeah, that's a little bit about my journey of moving around. It's been an experience and definitely a lot of growth.
And I would say, as someone who's moved a lot in my lifetime, some people may look at that as a negative thing.
Yeah.
And for me, being now in Las Vegas, launching our amazing brand, We Have Range, I just like to acknowledge that I think some people have got to get out of their backyards to experience the world and to aggregate those range of experience together. So speaking of your upbringing, tell us a little bit about some of the lessons you've learned in your journey.
Culture is vast. From moving from Atlanta to Virginia to New York to Cali, and even within California, from NorCal to SoCal, vastly different to Phoenix. So I've learned that culture is very fluid throughout the U.S. It's not the same. I've learned about myself through moving around, having to meet people. I moved to California and I think I knew 3 people. I now have friends that I go back and visit with. I developed this beautiful community over 4 years. I think the biggest lesson for me was learning how to just accept what the place has to offer. I didn't try to replicate New York in the Bay Area or the Bay Area in Phoenix. I just tried to be a part of the community and create the community that I wanted to see. So being in Phoenix, it lacks a lot of what I love about the East Coast. But how can I cultivate that? So learning how to create the thing that I want is something that I had to really lean into.
And what part of those experiences have shaped you? What do you think about some of your lessons as a younger person that still resonate today through all the places you've lived?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say the value of community. So I grew up in Atlanta, Bible Belt South, where it was all about your little league squad that you were with, the people that were in your community that watched out for you. I didn't really understand what that meant until I moved to New York. I had a small kid. First I moved to New Jersey, and I remember the day that I moved into my apartment. So for the first 6 months, I was living in corporate housing in Princeton, and I moved into my apartment in New Brunswick. My daughter was 18 months at the time. So I had my daughter my senior year of college. A lot of people don't know that, but I had her my senior year of my college. I spent like an extra semester to finish up my degree. And I'm in New Jersey. I find this apartment, and this woman is sitting on the porch. And I say, "Hey, I'm going to Walmart. I was moving into my apartment, so I'm going to get a bunch of stuff. Do you want anything?" And she's like, "Oh, can you bring me back some ding dongs?" Miss Dolly. She was my neighbor. I had just moved in, let's say 3 days in. And she's like, "That's so nice of you to ask me if I want something." I mean, Northerners are pretty cynical about folks offering help. And I'm from the South, so I naturally asked her if she needed something. And I bring her back these ding dongs. And she was the woman who helped me when I ended up taking a new role in New York City, but still living in New Brunswick. Single mom. My daughter was then not even 3. But I had to commute into the city, and I needed to figure out who would get Micaiah at the end of the day from the sitter to give her dinner, put her to bed, and I could make it back home to just do whatever I need to do. And I'm telling her, I got this new job. I'm very excited, but I'm nervous. I have no family in New Jersey, and I'm trying to figure out how am I going to do this. So I tell her this. She's like, "Don't worry. If you get somebody to drop her off, I'll feed her. We throw food away all the time. I will give her a bath, and all you need to do is do bedtime." That woman was godsend for me. And I got to tell you, every place that I moved while I was raising my daughter, I had a Miss Dolly. Community is the thing that has been consistent for me moving to California, moving to Phoenix. I have amazing people who support me, who look out for me. And it has allowed me to kind of just move around and know that I'm good.
And when you mention community,
Yeah.
how does that resonate for you in terms of the range that you have and what we call having range?
I think you kind of experienced it I host this holiday party every year.
Mhm.
And it's about 80 people, friends, family, neighbors, so people from my community. And every year, people leave and say, "I love the people that you have here." It's from, my Jewish neighbors to my neighbors from Mexico, from, I don't know, Midwestern US. Like, it's such a range of people that's in my network. I'm not boxed in that they all have to look like me. They look very different, and it just works. And every year someone leaves and says, "I love the people that you have at this party." They see each other every year. They connect, and I think they look forward to reconnecting during this time. So I think the people that I have in my circle is representative of the range of the places that I have to be in, the places I choose to be in, and the people that I choose in my life.
I love that. And I can speak for myself when I say, when I see you show up in community, you show up with knowledge, you show up always willing to to share whatever your experiences are, to mentor, to inspire. But you also show up as an unboxed maverick. you you show up giving all of yourself and so openly, which for a lot of people can be a little fearful. Tell us what led you to becoming the Myshell that you are, your willingness to be so open and to be your true authentic self at this stage in life.
Yeah, that's been a learned journey for sure. I think about being unboxed. I remember having dinner with a friend, Rob, I won't say his last name, and his husband. We were in San Francisco, and I was trying to explain to them how authentic I felt like I have started showing up, let's say over the last, let's say 5 years. I've always been Myshell and myself, but I couldn't explain to them what it felt like. And I said to them, do you remember the time when you came out to your family? They're a gay married couple. And they both looked at each other and like, yeah. Like it resonated with them because it's this deep feeling of being free. So I'm part free spirit, part very disciplined. And sometimes when it mash up is like a conflict because I don't like rules, but I like rules, like kind of bipolar in that personality aspect of me. But being Unboxed feels like I can truly just give you the experience of Myshell. And I think in certain situations, I can't do that. In corporate, I can't always bring, the very fiery Myshell. I'm kind of a little bit more reserved, a little bit more prudish. But at the core of who I am, I'm very in your face, direct. I'm probably direct at all times. So that's no different, but it just feels a little different. I know when certain parts of me are okay to show up and when I need to just pull back a little bit, but still living in my authentic truth. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I love that. And I know the balancing act that you got to play when your range is so vast and being cognizant of the rooms that you're in and the platform that you have. So would you say, Myshell, that range represents currency? And how would you define range currency?
Range currency is the value that I bring. So the value, authenticity, being an expert, all the skills that I've collected, that is my currency that I give to other people. I'm a cosmetologist. I started my career as a cosmetologist in high school. And so for me, I can go anywhere and share a haircut. It's funny, the amount of haircuts that I bartered for babysitting services, because I was extremely broke raising my daughter. And when I say extremely broke, I'm exaggerating, but it was a matter of managing a real budget and being very cautious of how I'm spending that $20. Needing sitting services when I wasn't making enough money to cover all the things, right? I think the currency is our personal brand. What do I bring to the table? Why is a company willing to bet on me and what I can bring them and how I can elevate them? You mentioned elevate earlier. How can I elevate the other people around me in the things that I'm doing? That's my currency and what I bring, the value. Just like $1. What's the value of $1? Whatever you can buy with it.
Yep. And your story, Myshell, is so important and why we have our platform.
Yeah.
We're creating intentional space for people who are like us, everyday people who are doing extraordinary things.
Yeah.
And because we've talked about this, when we think about the platforms that we watch, it's always celebrities and what they're doing. But we know there are so many people in our lives and who we've met through our lived experiences that do so much. And so when we think about that, let's talk about how in your particular industry, when you talk about someone, saying, hey, I want you to represent us. How does that come to play for you? Tell us a little bit about how you've made a mark on the trillion-dollar industry that we're in.
I think that's a great question. And you kind of talked about the voices that matter when you talk about like celebrity and, having a platform and podcasting. I know that the origins of what we wanted to do is say that wealth does not equate knowledge, right? And that is what the perceived thing is. And there's so many people that we know in our network that we represent from a business standpoint that are successful in their own right. And there's not enough platforms to let them tell their story. So I wanted to be very clear that that's part of our purpose. But the way that I think I have navigated this space, this industry, business overall, is being uniquely me, having that thing. I can't be Ivory. Ivory can't be me, but we uniquely bring whatever that is. I'm a master communicator. I love to communicate. I read off of energy. I know how to connect. I can be in any room. That is actually the power of a person of color. The world is not centered on us, but we've had to operate in a world that says, this is the center, you learn it, you navigate in it. And so having that and also knowing how to navigate in all the other spaces, that's value. So when I go into a room, I can speak about a balance sheet, I can speak about the corporate stock, or we can talk about the trap house if that's what you want to talk about, right? We can talk about trap music, like whatever that thing is. But that range allows me to connect with everybody and meet people where they are. And that's what a lot of people don't possess. And I think what we both have learned, and we've talked about it, is once you realize that you have that power, it allows you to be in the room and not say, wait, am I supposed to be here? Yeah, I'm supposed to be here. I command to be here because of these things. And you just run down that range card. I've done this, this, and this. And I don't think about myself in those terms. I was on a podcast, Alliant, I don't know if I can say their name, but a podcast of an insurance broker company. Mm-hmm. And they asked me to talk about my journey. And as I had to prep for it, I was like, oh, I did that. Like, I don't think about the things that I do because for me, I just do it. It's me showing up, me having fun, making a way to do the things that I want to do. I don't, it's not like you sit there and take inventory. I don't know. Do you take inventory of the things that you do?
No, I think you just do the thing.
You just do the thing.
You kick ass and you take every day, every minute, every moment, and every opportunity, and you take advantage of it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how I think about it. And Myshell, you mentioned that all your different talents and your range and what it means from a community perspective and how you impact others. But speaking of that, can you also just talk a little bit about how you became such an accomplished speaker? I consider you a subject matter expert in communication. It comes natural for you. You make it look flawless. Tell us how you got here, because a lot of us are scared and nervous about public speaking. Ooh. How did you become so amazing at being the communicator that you are?
So I don't think I'm an expert communicator. I'm just going to start there. And I will tell you, I've had a lot of times when I've spoken and sweat is like in all the places. And it's funny because every time I have a speaking engagement, I call my mom and I tell her the story. She's like, can you just spare me? Because I tell her the gory details of where the sweat is. It's kind of funny. But I study it. I think with everything, we have to study the thing that we want. So I always talk about people want to be great leaders. You don't just read a book and then you're a great leader. How do you actively work at being a leader? Do you practice the leadership techniques, or do you say, I read that book and now I'm a leader? So for me, it's about reinforcing the thing that I want to do. I read a lot. I'm a big reader. So I read about communication. So in any craft that you want, you have to study it. It's not, I've done it today and now I'm an expert. I say I'm an expert credit risk person because I was in credit risk for over 15 years, right? It's a craft that I had to work at. So with anything, my golf game, I got a golf coach. Everything requires practice and intentionality.
Love that. I talked about my power stance moment in my life, and I know there can be many, but what is a power stance moment in your life, personal, professional, that stands out to you? Tell us more about that.
Authenticity. Being able to be me. So I'll give you this story. I love stories, if you can't tell, because I feel like it just connects people to the thing. So I was in New York, and I was walking into my building, and there was a point for all you brown girls who have this natural hair journey. I was on a natural hair journey, and I walked in with some braids, and this woman came up to me and said, thank you. And I was like, what do you mean? Thank you. She's like, I've been wanting to wear braids to work and I've seen no Black person with braids and you have braids. Thank you. And I was like, wow. So the point of that is the influence that I can have over someone else in being able to make a choice. That's really powerful. This person hadn't done a thing because she hadn't saw anyone else do it. And this is at a big multinational insurance company in New York where you fall in line or not, right? And I had made a choice that tired of falling in line, tired of kind of wearing that corporate dress. And I really wanted to just be me. Black women wear braids. You have braids in right now.
Absolutely.
It's not a thing for us, but it's a thing for the world. And in that moment of doing that, I didn't know how impactful that would be. It sounds small, but it's huge. It is a really big thing when people release from the things that's holding them because we show up different. And that person went on to wear her hair natural and braids. We connected. And I also was leading one of the ERGs at this company at the time. So people knew me. And it taught me that people are watching you even when you don't know they are. And so there is a pressure sometimes to show up in a certain way. But I think it's even more important to be authentic so that people see that you showing up in your true form is also acceptable. Success, being a senior person at an organization, being a person of color, all of those things can resonate at the same time. All of those things can be true. Two things can be true.
Very true.
Yeah.
Also, I love that you mentioned stories and how they're a great way to communicate and impact others. Tell us a little bit about how they help people connect when you think about stories that you tell. What is it about storytelling that stands out for you?
Oh, that's a great question. I haven't thought about that, but I will say I kind of go back to like the music thing. You know how when you hear a song and you remember where you were when you heard the song?
Absolutely.
I actually think, didn't Ronnie ask that last night? He said, I think Candy Girl, they played Candy Girl. And it's like, can you remember where you were when this song was played? Right? I don't remember because I think I was maybe 10 because he said it came out in 1985. I was like, whoa, just date me. But I think it allows people to relate to you, right? If you say, you know, you got your kid that is doing whatever the thing is, a teenager, you know, teenage years are really hard. And I did a lot of sharing. I overshared about being a mom probably, but I also knew that it helped other people. There's no manual on how to be a mom or a parent, right? A dad. But in doing that and sharing your stories, you're always connecting with somebody, even when you don't know that you are. And for me, I did a lot of oversharing as a parent because one, it was my greatest accomplishment, my daughter, Micaiah, absolutely obsessed with her.
She's beautiful.
She's an amazing human. That was the one thing that I required, just to be a good human. Everything else will come. And so I talk a lot about her. You don't know me if you don't know my daughter. You don't know me without knowing Micaiah. Because she's such a big part and influence in my life. So for me, stories resonate with people. It allows you to connect. It also shows your human side. You know, that you get vulnerable when you tell your story.
Tell us about a song that grounds you, motivates you, centers you.
Mm-hmm.
I think about that in the context of how you talked about connecting with people.
Yeah.
And what music means to you in certain moments. Tell us a little bit about a song that comes up for you.
So it's Draw Me Close by Marvin Winans. And I grew up very religious. So much so that I don't like religion. Religious people don't come for me. But I will tell you, I'm deeply spiritual. Deeply spiritual. I have a circle of sisters, friends, where it is deeply, like we get into it. And so this song, Draw Me Closer, because it's talking about keep me centered in your spirit, God. So Draw Me Close is the hook of the song. And every time I need to get into a space of being inspired, being encouraged, I listen to that song, which is probably every morning. It's a song that's on loop for me. Sometimes I'll just put it on repeat because that spirit hasn't shifted. And if I feel that I'm off centered, that gets me back to the middle. And that's where I'm my best.
And as a woman of faith, I love that for you.
Yeah.
And in terms of our range, tell us about a song that might hype you up. What's your hyphy song?
This probably gonna feel inappropriate, but
let's do it. It's our platform.
Not inappropriate. I think when I say the song's name, you got to get the context of the song.
Okay.
So if you haven't already realized, I love Nas. Okay. So his latest drop is with DJ Premier. And he has this song called Junkie. And it's talking about a junkie for hip hop, but also things that you're really passionate about. That's the premise of the song. And it's like, I'm always going to be a junkie for whatever that thing is.
I love that. And Nas is a legend.
I mean, the song is dope. You have to listen to it. It just came out like maybe a month or so ago.
Okay.
But in that song, it kind of resonates with me because I go hard on things that I'm really, really passionate about. So I'm passionate about coaching. And the reason why I'm passionate about coaching is because it allows people to get the thing that they want out of life. If I can move you from being stuck to unstuck, that's transformation. So I talked about people going to do like leadership. They like, oh, I read a book and now I'm a leader. I'm like, what have you practiced, right? And so when we want to change anything about ourselves, there's a practice, there's some intentionality that goes into it, right? And so for me, I'm Myshell 2.0. Myshell 1.0 was something. So Myshell 2.0 is the person that was very intentional about focusing in on those weaknesses, strengthening where she wanted to be a better person, patience, compassion, tolerance. Because I think we all have a space for intolerance of whatever that thing is. And I think admitting those things about yourself allows you to be a full person. So for me, 2.0 is working on all of those things that I didn't like, that are ugly. We all have them. We don't all admit it. You know, being accountable, being responsible, getting the things done that I say that I'm gonna get done. Those things, that's important for me. So putting intention behind the things and being actionable. So,
and that's what range looks like when it's intentional.
You don't gotta be famous to be seen. Some of the strongest voices come from in between, from the shadows of the world, chasing impossible dreams.